Mark 5. And they came over unto the other side of the sea, into the country of the Gadarenes. And when he was come out of the ship, immediately there met him out of the tombs a man with an unclean spirit, who had his dwelling among the tombs. And no man could bind him, no, not with chains, because that he had been often bound with fetters and chains, and the chains had been plucked asunder by him, and the fetters broken in pieces. Neither could any man tame him. And always, night and day, he was in the mountains, and in the tombs, crying and cutting himself with stones. But when he saw Jesus afar off, he ran and worshipped him, and cried with a loud voice, and said, What have I to do with thee, Jesus, thou Son of the Most High God? I adjure thee by God that thou torment me not. For he said unto him, Come out of the man, thou unclean spirit. And he asked him, What is thy name? And he answered, saying, My name is Legion, for we are many. And he besought him much that he would not send them away out of the country. Now there was there nigh unto the mountains a great herd of swine feeding. And all the devils besought him, saying, Send us into the swine, that we may enter into them. And forthwith Jesus gave them leave. And the unclean spirits went out, and entered into the swine. And the herd ran violently down a steep place into the sea. They were about 2,000, and were choked in the sea. And they that fed the swine fled, and told it in the city and in the country. And they went out to see what it was that was done. And they come to Jesus, and see him that was possessed with the devil, and had the legion sitting, and clothed, and in his right mind. And they were afraid. And they that saw it told them how it befell to him that was possessed with the devil, and also concerning the swine. And they began to pray him to depart out of their coasts. And when he was come into the ship, he that had been possessed with the devil prayed him that he might be with him. Howbeit Jesus suffered him not, but saith unto him, Go home to thy friends, and tell them how great things the Lord hath done for thee, and hath had compassion on thee. And he departed.
Looking back on a terrible home invasion experience that my wife and I had once we moved to Chicago, I realized it started long before we moved into that house. My spiritual battles with unclean spirits began the night my son died. Imagine this, 1999, prom night. My son is a junior in high school. He begs me to use one of our high-end cars to take his girlfriend out to the prom. And against my better judgment, I let him borrow my Ferrari. 2 hours after my son departed for the prom, my wife receives a phone call. He's dead. Car accident. Ferrari totaled. My son's body mangled along the highway. It was that night that my son died that I turned my back on God, refusing to pray. And in those days, I was angry, extremely, extremely angry. And for a man of wealth and power, anger is a very dangerous thing. The death of my son led to me having a closer relationship with my older brother, Thomas. Just to be clear so you understand what we're talking about here. My net worth fluctuates from about $150 million to $275 million any given year. My older brother, Thomas, who's always been a psychopath, his net worth, $675 million to $1 billion. Listen, simply put, you don't get to that type of wealth and power without making connections with people in some good places and some extremely terrible places. The death of my son led me to a number of those terrible people. Cold-hearted, unrelenting pursuit of power is what I found myself caught up in. Conspiracy theories that people talk about on alternative media news sites. Those type of people are who I quickly became involved with. Now listen to me, there's one catch to having wealth and power that most people don't understand. It makes you totally unrelatable. And for my wife and I, living in the city of New Orleans only reminded me of my son's death. And believe me, over the years of doing backroom deals, watching economies crash and making money, there were times where I tried to do good things. There were people that I wanted to help. But deep down inside, I didn't care. And New Orleans, Louisiana slowly turned into a place that I didn't give a damn about. This led to my wife and I moving to one of the most wealthy and affluent neighborhoods in Chicago. We had been in our neighborhood about 2 months when I first noticed this skinny, diseased-looking white guy walking up and down the street. Half of this man's hair was blue, the other half was pink. And my initial thought was, maybe this is one of my neighbor's sons strung out on drugs, just roaming around in the streets. A few days later, I see him again leaning against a light pole, watching one of my neighbors pull out of the driveway. And again, I think nothing of it because this neighborhood is heavily patrolled by police officers, and because there are certain politicians that live here, even Secret Service is in the area. That was until one night I'm laying in a bed with my wife, half asleep, half woke. She's watching Netflix. Lizzie shakes me and says, "Honey, I think I hear something downstairs in the kitchen." Now, understand my mindset. I moved from the city of New Orleans, where I had property on St. Charles Avenue. And even on St. Charles Avenue in New Orleans, if you heard a noise in your house at night, you better get your weapon and go figure out what the hell it is. So I'm up out of bed, 9mm in my hand, slowly tiptoeing down the steps. There's a light coming from the kitchen. And by the time I get to the bottom of the steps, not only do I realize that someone has invaded our home, this person is standing there digging in our refrigerator. My body squared up to him, knees slightly bent, weapon raised at the ready. "What the hell are you doing in my house?" I kid you not, it's that freaky looking guy with the two-tone hair. He smells like sewage. He's in my refrigerator eating pickles. Understand, I have my weapon raised at this man. His back is turned. He puts the pickles down on the counter, turns around, and his eyes are black. And I don't mean black like just his eyeballs are black. The entire area around his eyes, his eye sockets, is black. This man calmly looks at me and says, "I'm sorry to have startled and awakened you. I was just heading up to see you and your wife. I'm glad you were able to come down." As those words came out of his mouth, I could feel the evil intentions. "You need to leave my house right now." And I swear to you, no Hollywood movie or actor or actress could play the part of the crazy that I was about to witness. This man puts his hands up in the air, spins around like a ballerina saying, "Tonight you and your wife are going to die and there's nothing you can do about it. I came here to murder you." He's singing, "I came here to murder you." This is my last time telling you, get the hell out of my house right now. Crooked, sinister grin comes across his face as he takes a step towards me. Pow! One shot sent him as his body falls to the floor, and I'm thinking, okay, this is over. By now, Lizzie, my wife, is at the top of the steps on her cell phone dialing 911. Head turns for a split second, looking back over at this man. He's laid on his back, palms on the ground, starting to squirm and move backwards. The most freaky, ungodly movement I've ever seen is somehow his shoulders and elbows start to contort. His palms now pressing on the base of my kitchen cabinets, pulling himself up, standing up, blood gushing from his chest. I fire again, hitting him in the shoulder, and he starts to move towards me. Now my precise firing turns to panic fire. Bop, 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 bop. Body sliding to the floor again, magazine empty. Running up the steps, grab Lizzie, pull her into the bedroom, close the door. I'm searching for my shotgun. What happened next, I want to describe to you as moments of silence, but in reality it wasn't. My ears were ringing, heart pounding, adrenaline pumping. And then we both hear him singing again. "I came here to murder you and your wife. I came here to murder you and your wife. God cannot help you tonight." The most crazy crap I've ever heard. You could hear what seemed like every chair, table, piece of furniture, glass, painting, picture, TV, lamp being flipped over and tossed around downstairs. Then these heavy footsteps running up the steps towards our bedroom. Lizzie on the phone with the police in a full panic. You need to get someone here and get him here right damn now. Right now. And let me tell you, the next 2 to 3 minutes were more terrifying than what I experienced downstairs. He starts punching on and through the freaking drywall. Lizzie, I'm gonna save you for last. Rage and anger rose up inside of me, and I let loose with that shotgun. 5 shots back to back right along that wall. Now, between all the commotion, the gunfire, him talking, me screaming, I cannot say to you the exact moment that the police arrived, but I can tell you they sounded like a herd of elephants charging up the steps of my house. Get on the ground! Get on the ground! Outside on the other side of that wall, it sounded as if the police commenced to whooping this guy's behind. And the next thing we knew, there was this gentle knock on the door. Sir, ma'am, open up. This is the police. Everything is fine. You can come out. Listen to me. By now, the dresser is slid in front of the door. The bed slid next to that. We are 100% barricaded in this bedroom. Listen to me. Once I walk out of that bedroom into that hallway, there is blood everywhere, smeared on the walls. This long hand streak of blood coming from the base of the steps along the wall all the way up. And downstairs, there was not one thing left in its original place. Look, hours later, my wife and I are down at the police station talking to detectives. I give them the entire rundown of what happened. Now, you think based on the injuries that this guy sustained, he would have been dead. They're going to tell me that he's alive and that he's being transferred to a high-security mental hospital. Honestly, I had no clue that those type of hospitals even freaking existed. In walks the captain of our district, older white man, gray hair, and he starts to hit us with this brainwashing. Sir, I know you and your wife have been through a rough night, and sometimes when we have rough experiences like this, they're extremely hard for you to deal with. Things that you thought you saw may not in actuality be what you really saw. But what's most important at a time like this is that you and your wife are still alive. That's the most important thing, and that's what you need to focus on at this moment, that you and your wife are still alive. Now, although my wife and I are both upset, and although someone had broken into our house, I shot him once in the chest and at least once in the shoulder that I can verify, and then he came up the steps and tried to kill me and my wife in our bedroom. Irregardless of everything that had happened, I know exactly what I saw. And I know when somebody else is trying to tell me what I saw wasn't real. So now I'm pissed off. My wife and I cannot go back home because our house is an active crime scene. And we have to spend the next 24 hours in a hotel. After leaving the hotel, we get home and have to clean up the bloody mess that's left around our house. Now, as all that's going on, the captain's words are replaying in my head over and over and over again. Sometimes things that we thought we saw, we didn't see. I tell my wife, screw it, we're going to get some answers as to what the hell happened in our house. Over the next week, I pull every string, press every button, make every phone call to every person in power that I know in order to find out what was going on with that man in my house. And when the truth finally came out, it made way more sense than anything that at Chicago PD was able to tell me. Turns out he was alive for the next 3 days inside a high security psychiatric hospital. The exact words of the director of that hospital was, "This man was demonically possessed. And when the demon left his body, he died instantly." Now, I wish I can tie the experience my wife and I had up into a neat little knot and hand it over to you. But the truth of the matter is, to this very day, my wife and I are both haunted by that experience.
A Virginia family fends off a naked intruder claiming to be the devil. The dad grabs his gun and fires off dozens of rounds, but that didn't stop her.
Yeah, this family was under attack last night by a woman claiming to be the devil. She attacked his family, prompting the homeowner to fire 39 rounds.
She was in to kill us. That was her almighty, was to kill us. She attacked us, and I held her down and just kept on punching her as hard as I possibly could.
Once a dream home, it now looks like a war zone. Blood soaked into the carpet, walls and windows riddled with bullets, and shell casings scattered throughout.
I said, "Who are you?" She said, "I need your help." And I said, "Get out my house." And she said, "I'm the devil."
The homeowner says a naked woman with a blue ponytail broke into the basement around 10:30 last night, laughing and refusing to leave.
She looked like she was possessed. I mean, her eyes were completely black like saucers and laughing like it was a joke.
Fearing for his life, the father of 3 grabbed his pistol, gave a verbal warning, and opened fire.
She was not stopping. She had the strength of 4 grown men.
When he ran out of bullets, he began throwing furniture. His wife and children jumped in, beating the woman, yet she didn't stop.